Hello everyone, this is Yashaswini, psychologist with ND and today we'll be discussing about sensory issues in autism and some indoor activities that can be done at home. Autism is a developmental condition that affects how someone interacts, communicates, and experiences the world. You might have heard that autism is a spectrum, which means it shows up differently in each individual. Some individuals with autism are sensitive to sound, some love repetitive movements, and other might be really attached to certain things or routines. Fun fact: Albert Einstein and Mozart both had characteristics often associated with autism, which means autism certainly doesn't mean lack of brilliance or creativity. Now, what do sensory issues look like? Imagine a normal day sound, let's say a vacuum cleaner, felt as loud siren going right beside you, or if a touch of a certain fabric made you feel so uncomfortable that you couldn't focus on anything else, right? So this is often the reality for individuals with sensory sensitivities. Some may be overly sensitive to sensory inputs such as light, sound, and different textures, while others may be undersensitive where they would seek out even more of those sensations. Now we will see how sensory issues might look like. Increased movement such as jumping, spinning, or crashing into things. Increased stimming like hand flapping, making repetitive noise, or rocking back and forth. Covering ears or eyes. Difficulty recognizing internal sensation like hunger. Refusing certain food or cloth items. Frequent touching or playing rough. Difficulty communicating or responding. Escalating, overwhelming emotion or need to escape a situation. Or extreme meltdown. Now, let's look at different types of sensory experiences. Sensory experiences are common with autism. Think of sensory experiences like wearing headphones on full blast when you least expect it. Or you can think of sound, lights, or texture which can feel really intense. Or imagine that there is nothing around you seems loud enough, you might start seeking more sensory input by making sounds or touching things. Now think of sounds that you can't stand. For instance, for individual with autism, certainly everyday sounds can be that upsetting. Now let's look at the types. The first type is hyperreactivity, which is also known as overly sensitive. Imagine your skin feels every little thing. The seams of clothes, light touch. People with hyperactivity can feel even soft fabric are pricky. Here, the child is overly sensitive to touch. This is what oversensitivity can feel like. Even common experiences can be overwhelming for them, that they might not be able to focus on other things. The second type is hyporeactivity, which is also known as undersensitive. Now let's flip the switch. Some may not feel certain touch much at all. Kids with hyporeactivity might not notice a bruise or a bump. It is like having a inbuilt iron shield within them. It is why they might bump into things most often and almost as if their body is unaware. Now, the third type is sensory seeking. Sensory seekers are like little explorers. They crave touch and love tight hugs, soft touch, or textures. These individuals might be the ones who always want to play with everything or press every button they see. The fourth type is sensory avoidance. On the other hand, some kids avoid certain sensation like messy play or certain food textures. Ever seen a child refuse finger painting or sticky foods? Sensory avoiders feel like sensory avoiders feels like things are too much and much more stronger and often avoid these sometimes the brain registers everyday sensation as too much. Now let's look at some activities for sensory play and calming techniques. There are few activities that you could try at home for tactile seekers and tactile avoiders. Activities for tactile seekers. The first activity would be sensory bins. Now, take a large container or a shallow bin, fill it with materials like uncooked rice, dried beans, sand, or even water beads. Bury small toys, letters, or objects inside for a treasure hunt experience. Sensory bins engage the senses of touch and encourage focus and concentration. They allow children to explore textures safely and can be used to build motor skills by picking up or sorting objects. The second activity would be textured walk. Now, lay out different textured in a line or such as bubble wrap, soft carpet, squares, grass mat, smooth stones, and foam tiles. Have children walk barefoot on these to experience different sensation on the sole of their feet. A textured walk helps tactile awareness and body coordination. It is also fantastic activity for calming down after a busy day as it promotes grounding and relaxation. The third activity would be water play station. Now, set up a waterproof mat with a basin or a tub of water, cups, sponge, and small toys. You can also add safe food coloring and floating objects that make it visually engaging. Water play is calming activity and provides an opportunity for children to explore and cause effect by pouring, squeezing, watching water flow. It also adds hand muscles, especially for younger children who are still developing fine motor skills. Now we will look into some activity for tactile avoiders. Children, those who are sensitive to touch. The first activity would be weighted blanket. Have children lie under a weighted blanket or place it over their laps during quiet activities like reading or watching a calm video. Weighted blankets provide deep pressure input which can help in calming and grounding the children by releasing relaxing chemicals in the brain. This activities particularly would be helpful during the time of stress. So you could do this activity right before the bed or during the story time. The second activity would be bubble wrap. Lay out a piece of bubble wrap on the table or a floor and encourage the child to press each bubble with their finger or even step on it gently. Bubble wrap provides both tactile experience and auditory feedback. It is a fun way to introduce children to different textures without overwhelming them since they control the amount of intensity of contact. The third activity would be calm sensory water bottles. Here, fill a clear water bottle with glitters, few small beads, and decorative items. Seal the bottle tightly and let children shake it up and watch the glitter swirl and sweat. Sensory bottles often offer a visually calming activity that doesn't require much touch, making them ideal for children who find tactile experience overwhelming. Watching glitter settle can help them regulate breathing and reduce anxiety. Here are few tips for trying out these activities at home. First, adapt to their preferences. If a child shows hesitation, start with milder textures or shorter duration, especially for tactile avoiders. Second, introduce storytelling. Link activities to stories or themes like explore the jungle or text walks for finding treasure in the sensory bins to make sensory experience more fun. Third, observe their reaction. Watch how they respond to each activity for tactile seekers and provide variety to keep it stimulating. For tactile avoiders, keep it simple and ensure they feel comfortable. Fourth, create a calm environment. Play soft background music or dim lights slightly during these activities for more relaxing atmosphere, especially if it's close to bedtime. Trying out these sensory activities can be a great way for kids to explore new textures and sensation, all while learning about their bodies and building calm techniques. Enjoy discovering what works best and feel free to share any observation or questions as you try them. Before we wrap up, remember all kids are unique. Find these activities that work for them. Make sensory play space calm and let the child lead the way. They'll let you know what feels right. Thank you for today. Have a fantastic day.